Hey everyone, can you hear me fine? Well, we ended the sculpt last week on this kind of model, and I took a bit of time outside of the stream to actually add a bit more detail to it. So let me show you that one. Yep, should be fine. And it turned out like this. So a bit more decorations, a bit more texturing or like poly painting, and a bit more like fur kind of stuff happening on the model, and a bit more like refinement around the mesh. Yep. So that's basically what I did, and it's not really too much outside of the stream, so I kept most of the stuff inside the stream. Oh, wrong file. I've adjusted the size of the model to fit the scale of 2 because ZBrush likes the scale of 2, and yeah, I had to use the Scale Master's Unify, Seeing Unify, this feature here, to fit the entire model to be inside of the 2 scale, so no, 2 size, the XYZ size. So what I did was just like show all the models, press this button right here, and it will do the job for you. So let me continue on with the boots, because like if you see the boots, like there's nothing detailed around this thing, so I'm gonna focus on the boots for this stream, and I think I'll try to end this model this week because it's Christmas-like, and I don't want to bring it to the next year because that's off-season, right? From Argentina, huh? Welcome, welcome. So it's morning in Japan right now. It's like 6:30 a.m. in Japan. So if you're wondering why the birds are tweeting and my parents are like preparing for some morning breakfast, that's the reason why. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is that I'm using the new feature called Preview AO. What this does is that you add real-time occlusion. You can see it happening on here and here. So if you enable this, you get a shadow or occlusion happening on the mesh. And if you like draw something like a fold, it's easy to see. So for example, if you disable the poly paint, it's really easy to see. But if you don't have this, you can see it, but like sometimes it's hard to see with the specific like materials, or you have to switch to the another material to get that like tone of the shadows. So I use the Preview AO really like often right now, and this will like enable you to see the actual result of the sculpt really easily. My English is not very good. That's fine. It's 6 p.m. in Brazil. Huh. It's totally the opposite. I know Brazil is like the opposite time zone compared to Japan, so Yeah. Oh, if you have any questions related to ZBrush, ZBrush Core, or Japan, or something like a figurine, just hit me up. I'll try to answer them. I always get questions related to folds and how to do folds, but like I'm not really a fold specialist, so I usually go the method of like making triangles as much as possible and making them in the joint spots or the where the cloth bends. So for example, if you have a boot and like if you imagine where the boot moves, it's your leg and it's your joint here, right? So I usually go about making those joints and trying to connect them so it becomes a ring around your like wrist or the joint spots, and making a bit of a triangle when making so. So if you have a if you hold a paper, if you hold the paper and fold it, it makes it like the entire mass or the surface of the paper, it doesn't change, right? But it tries to like make space when you bend it over. So that's what the triangle is doing. So it's like overlapping each other and then like moving this surface over so it can bend. So that's why you have like triangles like happening right here. So it's just the matter of like making these kind of like triangles and combining them so it looks much better. There is a couple of like ways to mimic what kind of folds you do. Like for example, if you have X kind of like shape, Y kind of shape, and Z kind of shape, you get all the like folds you can make, and you just need to like combine them so it looks like like the reference you have. And it depends on how much like soft or hard the material is. So you just need to consider those factors. And it's better to use, I prefer to use dam standard first to get this like the hard crease happening, and then like add a bit more curvature or a softer like curve to the model by using standard brush. But it really depends on the person. Like if you're a person who can do this entirely with standard, why not? So just go ahead. Advice for beginners, I definitely would like to get into 3D modeling. I want to make my own figurines someday. Depends on what kind of beginner you are. If you're a total beginner and you don't really understand what kind of like stuff you need to do, you need to understand the workflow first. What like you need to understand what you need. So it's like understanding your build path on like MMOs. Like if you play MMOs, if you're like for example if you're a swordsman, you need to understand what the swordsmen are required to do, right? So like for example, if that game's like swordsman character is required to do a tank, you need to consider what kind of like skills you need for the tank. So basically, if you're making figurines, you just need to understand what kind of like workflow, or what kind of artist is making figurines, and then you need to just mimic those, and then you can understand what kind of like requirements or what kind of steps they're doing, and then you can like absorb them, right? So basically basically I'm showing my kind of like workflow, but you can see other people's workflow to understand better, especially not in a broken English. And depends on what kind of like figurines you want to make. If it's a Western stylized kind of like figurine, then you got a lot of like resources to like work upon. But if it's like specifically more anime looking figurines, it may be a bit hard to like look into the information in English, but there is a couple of like artists who can teach you stuff like those. So you don't need to worry about like finding references. You need to find what kind of like artist you want, and just like look at the workflow they're doing, and then just try to mimic. The basic part of like ZBrush or the 3D modeling itself is pretty much the same. You just need to like endure in a sense to learn those kind of like beginner things. Like for example, if you start from the beginner course, it's sometimes hard to imagine what kind of like stuff will be able to do at the end. For example, if I start making a boot, but you don't really want to make a boot, and then the tutorial covers only the boot topic, it does like for example, for a beginner, it looks like it's like misleading or like going in a different direction at first, but at the end, like you're doing the fundamentals, so if you endure that fundamental part and then like just follow the instructions and understand what he is doing or like she is doing, and then branch out from that after you understand or like understand better what they teach you, right? The basic part is pretty much the same. If it's not really specialized for that like workflow, it's pretty much like general, and like moving around the clay and getting the basic shape is like pretty much the same as making the base mesh and then moving around the mesh. So if they teach you those kind of like fundamentals, then it doesn't matter what kind of like stuff they like teach you make. So if it's a boot, then yeah, you can use it for a lot of things like cloth and stuff. Hey. I'm trying to finish my Santa model here, and I'm currently polishing my boots. I need to think about like what kind of like model I want to make next. I'm thinking about making some kind of like a mech character. What do you call those categories? Mech with girls or girls with mech? And then I'm thinking another idea would be to make a cyberpunk kind of like character, because it's on trend. Like I really like the Cyberpunk 2077. I'll do it during my holidays, I guess. Like, that game is awesome, so. I want to make some hard surface plus a character, I guess, so. Would it be hard to make Gundam models? That's more a Paul Gabriel question. So there is a coworker called Paul Gabriel. I think you know. he's more the go-to guy if you want to ask about Gundam models or hard surface models. It's not really that hard in technical terms, so you just need to learn a bit like how to get the base models done. So it's not really that hard, but it's not my kind of like model, I guess, to make. If I want to make like hard surface models, I think I'll go to bikes and stuff. Bikes, guns, robots, but not Gundam, I guess. I don't know. What software are you using? And this is called ZBrush. There you go. Do you animate with this software? No. This is specifically for making models. So this is called sculpting application. So it's really specialized for making sculptures or models. Then if you bring it to another software, then you can animate. But this is really focused. Like this is like 90% or like pretty much 100% sculpting application. So if you want the shape, or if you're looking for a specific shape, then it's very good at like getting those shapes in a very short amount of time. Yeah, I need to think about what kind of stuff I should do next stream. If I'm aiming for like making the models up to like March, then I need to think about March. What do we have for March? Like, I don't think we have any. cherry blossom seasons? Yeah. Cherry blossom like related stuff would be like nice, I guess, for especially if you're making something related to Japan, then it's nice to have, but I don't know. Hey, welcome. Has anyone played the Cyberpunk game? Like, I played it through the... Where did I... Well, and up till the Emperor dies, at least. It's the beginning part. Like, I didn't really have the amount of time to actually like go progress on my like main story. Like I always go through the like side jobs and then like get tired and then like take a bit of time and then progress always. Then where are you? Is that what kind of question is that? Is that for Cyberpunk? Awesome, I caught one of your live streams. Oh, hey, welcome. So I'm playing as a cyborg ninja kind of like playstyle. So I have a blade, and for some reason my close quarter, like there's two shops, right? There's one for guns, one for like blades or knives, and that like blades or knight kind of like shop like for some reason had a legendary sword, and the other weapons was like 200 DPS, but only single sword was like generating 1000 DPS for some reason, and I bought that sword immediately, and like it was like too OP for that time. So my character's like chunking, like throwing away damages more than the gun itself. So if I have a pistol, then I sneak shoot them, like really simple like headshots. That's gonna generate less damage than my normal like slice. So it's crazy about my like how much like damage that swords generate. Like it's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty much crazy. That like sword itself is like able to like generate like 400 or like 600 damages if you slice the head, and like it's insta kill if you're like dealing with a basic like NPC character or story character. I'm playing good. It's almost still in the beginning, but exploring the city and doing side quests. Yeah, like it's really easy to like get lost in the side quest. Like there's if you run through the city and you hit some like crime scenes, you jump in there and cut some people and then run away again and then like accidentally hit people and get caught by the police and then get shot. Simple stuff. What's that model with a box? Well, was that model with a box? This one. So what ZBrush can do is, like, for example, if you have a base mesh like this, this body itself is like made from a sphere, like entirely, and then if you mask a portion like this, then you can go to extract, and if you accept, you're gonna have this kind of like the part of the mesh like extracted. And like, for example, if you just want this part, you can assign a group to it. It's called polygroups, and then you can like eliminate a part of the mesh. Like, then you can close holes, and then you can apply some inflates, for example. And then if your mesh is not really clear, you can apply some like ZBrush, which is like applying retopology for your mesh, and then voila, you got your base mesh for the boots. So this is the simple way to like get the boots done, and then you can just adjust the general shape by like just moving the front part of it, and then like adjusting so it has a flat kind of like bottom. And then you can like sculpt the folds and stuff like those. So it's really easy.はじめまして、ZBrushコアユーザーです。どうもどうも。今回はですね、ちょっと日本語での配信ではなくてですね、英語での配信になるので、あまり日本語のコメントには返せないんですけど、まあ、毎週、その交互にですね、英語の配信と日本語の配信を行っているので、日本語の配信をもし見たい場合には、その英語じゃない方の配信を見ていただければと思います。一応日本語の配信はですね、19時から、毎週、その、木曜日の19時にやってるんですけど、毎週、じゃあ各週か。2週間ごとってことですね。でやってるんですけど、今回は、どちらかといったらアメリカ時間に合わせてですね、日本だと比較的朝なんですけど、ちょうどアメリカだと、今お昼ぐらいなのかな？なので。What are you speaking? So I'm speaking in Japanese because there was a comment in Japanese saying, "Hey, I watch your stream every time," and like I was responding like, "This is basically like a English stream. So if you want to see the Japanese stream, I do. He needs to go to another day and then watch from there." So basically, I just said that in Japanese. Yep, it's ZBrush. It's a full version, but you can basically do the same thing. You can't really do the advanced stuff, but like for example, I made this model inside ZBrush Core. ですね、この画像自体、っていうかこのモデル自体はですね、ZBrush Core で作ったんですけど、これ、配信過去のやつでですね、作ったやつがあるので、そちらを見ていただければなと。So this model was like made inside ZBrush Core, but like basically you can do this kind of like stuff if you understand like what kind of like stuff you're required to do. It's not that hard. Like, the time I made that model, we didn't really have like ZRemesher inside ZBrush Core, but now we do. So you can take a different kind of like workflow or approach to it. So it's even more easier compared to like what I did at that time. Well, ZBrush is not really expensive when you talk about the like price of the software. For example, if you are going to buy Adobe software, you gotta pay like, if you buy Photoshop, just Photoshop, you're gonna pay for a I think it was $9 per month, and if you like times that by 12, then it's like suddenly really high price. Like you gotta pay for like $100 per year, and then if you need, like for example, if you have to have like the Illustrator or other like After Effects or other softwares, you gotta pay for $40. And then if you times that by 12, then you have 480. Then if you use that for 2 years, then it's more close to like $1,000, right? But if you buy ZBrush, you get the free upgrades as a basic stuff. So we haven't charged any upgrade fees for 20 years. I think it's close to 21 years now. So if you buy it, it will be cheaper. And if you compare to other 3D softwares, then you are going to start from like $2,000 per year, or a subscription based, and basically. So I do see people saying it's expensive, but it's worth your price, I guess. So I usually like recommend new users to buy the like full the permanent license as much as possible. But like if you're like wondering like, should I start a new hobby, or like should I get used to the software first, you can try out the subscription as well, so you can choose. With perpetual license, you get only free upgrades for 1 year. So if you read the license agreement, yes, that's what it is written, but we never have charged for the price. So like, I think it was like from ZBrush version 2, we haven't charged any upgrades fees. So we, like, it's written, but it's not practice, right? You understand? It's a difference of, like, legally we can do it, but like we chose not to do it. And it's very hard to like find a software which does this like permanent stuff nowadays, unless it's like, for example, open source or different kind of like it's a different kind of like software, right? So open source is like another kind of like subgenre of licensing, but that doesn't really go well with the business model, I guess. I do like open source softwares, but like sometimes I want some like specific support for that software, and then you can't really have those kind of supports because it's open source. You need to maintain it yourself, or ask a developer to do it for you, and then you wait for like 2 months, it's not fixed, and you get frustrated, and then you buy a software. So yeah, some stuff like, for example, OBS is open source, so it does what it says, and I'm kind of like happy that it does that. But sometimes like I just want some company behind it, like supporting the software, and it feels nice for paying a software because you're supporting their like developers. I never updated ZBrush before. Will update and keep my all my brushes and preferences. No, you need to move them. So you need to go to the brush presets in ZBrush folder, and then you need to move them. Can I keep both versions installed on my new version? Yes. So if you install a new version, unless it's a patch, you need to like save it on a different folder, and then you have the different like a set of software, and then you can move the assets to that folder. Having Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and Unreal Engine 4 can get you far in 3D, right? Depends on what kind of stuff you do, to be honest. Like if you're making games, yes, but if you're not making games, then why need to use all those softwares? Some stuff you just need to understand and you don't need to have. Like for example, I've doubled with Unity. Like I've played around with Unity or like Unreal Engine stuff, but I don't want to create games. And it takes so much time to make games, so I just focus on the modeling aspect. So I just need to understand what kind of rigging is required for the like model to be sent into the game itself. So I just need to understand that. So I don't really need to understand the Unreal Engine separately to understand what kind of stuff I need to do, right? And like my main stuff is figurines, so I don't really need to use 3ds Max that much. I do use it some occasion, and I don't really need to like paint the models because I need to print them and then paint them on physical parts I printed, so or the resins I copied or like duplicated. So basically I don't need to learn Substance Painter entirely, so I just focus on sculpting aspect. So that's my benefit. Like you just need to like learn what kind of stuff you want to make in 3D, and then like limit yourself in a way. You can go like you can go deep like for infinity, but you go nowhere because like you're constantly learning this software and not what kind of stuff you can make. And that's kind of like the dilemma you see a lot of artists. You know that they're struggling with the software and not the artwork itself. You noob. Oh sorry. Well, there's a concept called constructive criticism. So if you can point out what kind of stuff is new, then I'll be happy to hear it. So yeah, like you need to think about what kind of software you want to learn and like why you want to learn it. So you don't really like go into the maze of like finding a good software for you and then not focusing on the artwork itself then, which is more important than the software itself, right? I want to use Curve Snap on ZBrush Core, but not in default brush. Can I use something near the close strap? No, there's only a couple of like brushes inside ZBrush core. You can't make a custom IMM, so you need to like use, I think it was curved tubes or curved straps inside core. So you can use it for base of the hair, for example. You can make it for a cable. So you need to use those. No custom brushes, no. What are some good projects that use both ZBrush sculpting and 3ds Max hard edge modeling? I want to practice both. Depends on what kind of stuff you're into, like making helmets is one thing. So for example, if you make a helmet of a character in ZBrush and then like do a sketch of the like what kind of like pieces you want, and then sending over to 3ds Max, and then you can retopologize it all together, and then you can rig it to like open up the visors and stuff like those. So you can do those. You can do pretty much all the modeling with like ZBrush sculpting and 3ds Max. Like I use 3ds Max, and like I used to make bikes. So I think I made a Kawasaki bike in the past with using ZBrush and 3ds Max. And for example, I made yeah, I think I made a character with some hard surface elements to it, and those are a good example of like combining two softwares. So if you want to make hair, like there's a couple of ways to do it. Like for example, you can like copy, duplicate your hair, delete the subdivisions, and then curve tube, and then draw a line like this. You don't need symmetry for this one. And then adjust thickness, and then you just need to split the parts. And then you need to delete the head, and then you have the head and the hair separately. And then you can move around with the snake hook, get the basic shape, and then if you want to like smooth it, you can use smooth. And then for example, like if you have snake hook, like it's gonna do this, right? And then if you just want to like have this side moving, you can use masks, or you can use backface mask inside auto masking, backface mask, and then you can move it. So you can adjust the thickness, and then if you press Alt and then do this, you can like move it in a different, like opposite direction. So this is the way to like handle hair or like thin parts easily. And then after this, you can like use like duplicate, and then like copy another mesh from this, and then you can quickly get another strand of hair. If you want to make sharp hair, then you just need to like mask the tip, and then you just need to like move it and then smooth it, especially inside ZBrush core. So also you can use pinch as well. So after you did a couple of like subdivision levels, you can just use pinch. and then you get a sharper edge on the hair itself. And then you can just draw a standard brush like this. And if needed, you need to like subdivide it and then add detail. Basically, that's the workflow. What brush did you use for flatten? I think I'm using Trim Dynamic, I guess, or just like, for example, I was using Pinch in that example I showed you. So what Trim Dynamic does is like it's gonna try to like flatten the surface. Like this. So this is handy for like all sort of stuff. Or you can also use H polish, which is inside here. It's pretty much doing the same thing, but it's more softer. So hope that answers your question. Or was it something else? No. No problem. So I'm making a fake beard for the character. So she's holding a fake beard, so it looks like a Santa. But like the traditional Santa's like beard is like long, and you have the chin part as well. But she's not gonna hold the entire like beard of like having a chin next to it. So I just made it simple. But I'm currently wondering, should I add more beard or like take a bit more off the beard, because it currently looks like a feather or a bird's like feather in a way, wings. No, talking about wings, like, I may want to make some characters with wings. It could be nice. I need to learn the anatomy of like wings, because that part is the hardest part when I'm doing ZBrush. So maybe I want to do that instead. I need to think about it. Yeah. I'm trying to do less preparation for the stream because it feels more natural, like talking to you guys and then coming up with ideas. For example, the Scorpion model I did was like just saying like I want to do mech models and then going straight from there. And then I did the entire prep one was the schoolgirl model I did from the illustrator's friend I have, and I just borrowed a reference from him and then like start making the model from there. And others are mainly my like coming up with ideas on the stream and then like going ahead. So even the Santa model was like I want to make Santa and then coming up with ideas. So I want to make it flexible, but I don't know, like it could be specific. Why are you streaming from America? No, I'm from Japan, so I'm streaming from Japan and I'm streaming from my house. So it's 7 a.m. in Japan. Maybe more curly hair would work to make it more Christmas beard. Ah, yeah, it's straight. Then let's go ahead and then add spirals then. Why you can speak English well? Well, because I lived in England for 5 years, so that's the reason why. You speak good English as well. Well, you can text a good English as well, so seems like you're able to listen as well. Well, talking about Christmas, like, I've noticed that I'm losing track of my dates recently. So, like, even though I'm making Christmas models, but I don't really feel like Christmas, right? My body thinks it's still, like, October or something. I don't know why, but, like, it's hard to feel it's, like, end of December or, like, close to end of December. England for a job? No, I was like because of my parents was working for a company which had to go to England, and then the company promised it was like only for 1 year, so he decided to bring the entire family. But the company switched and said like, well, we want to keep you for 5 years, and then my parent had to stay for England for 5 years, and they decided it's a good time to like make me learn English or like, and then like we stayed in like England for 5 years, and so when I was that was when I was a kid. So it's how many years ago? I think it was 18 years ago, I guess. So yeah, I don't feel like Christmas here. Because I think it's because of the quarantine. You don't really get to like go outside and see the Christmas like lights and stuff like those. It's kind of understandable, and I don't really go outside either, so hard to imagine, I guess. I really hated this year because like there was so much sad events this year, so I hope at least like the next year will be fine, or like at least a brighter year than this year. Like, it's so depressing. Your parents is great. I don't know. Well, I think it was a good decision. Like, I don't really regret going abroad. So the only thing I miss is that I didn't really get to understand Japanese culture deeply. So I'm always an outsider. So I'm kind of like having issue understanding sometimes Japanese culture, and then I'm trying to understand it, but like they don't really make me understand it. So, and as soon as you get like recognized that you are like you lived abroad, they see you differently. So I don't know what that is, but like I feel like an outsider, totally. Yeah, even though I'm fully 100% Japanese, I sometimes don't feel I'm Japanese. What are your job in Japan? Figurine artist? No. I'm working for Pixologic, so I'm a Japanese representative for Pixologic, so I do a lot of things related to Japan. And like making figurines is my hobby, but it's not really my main thing or like a job. Maybe I can switch to one. Like I did get some like job offers. So. And I hear there's not much like figurine artists who can speak English as well. So there's kind of like a small demand for it. Niche one. Thanks. Yeah, I think I need some like soft curly. yeah, currently it's a really rigid, hard beard, so I think it needs to be a bit more like soft and curly. Do you take part in Wonder Festival in Japan? Yes, yes. I've made some figurines in the past. I can show you. Let me see. I always forget where I put my figurine images. But for example, I made this. And I made this. And I made this. So yeah, I make figurines and sell them on Wonder Festival. How many vicinities of 3D artists in Japan? Is there a shortage of local specialists with best wishes from Ukraine? Depends on what kind of like skill you're talking about. So there is a lack of like photorealistic artists who can do really good stuff in Japan, but they are like always, because of the company, people doesn't really talk in English. Well, especially Japanese don't really speak in English, so a lot of them are required to speak English. But if you have talent, if you have the skills to like do all those kind of like stuff better than all the current available artists, then yeah, you can have a job, I guess. But it's tricky to have a job in Japan. Like, it's always tricky, so keep that in mind if you want to work in Japan. So there's not really like a agency that can handle your like 3D work or like talk in behalf of your client, like behalf of the client. So there's no kind of like middleman service who can like speak Japanese like for you currently. There might be some, but not really. I don't know any names for now. And most of the 3D stuff is like this kind of like cartoon or like more Japanese kind of like anime style. So there's only like limited amount of people who can do photorealistic stuff, and if the client asks those kind of like stuff, it's gonna be expensive for most studios. I love Japan. It's one of my dreams. Yeah. I know there's a couple of like people who would die for to like live in Japan, but it's sometimes hard. Like coming as a tourist and then like compared to like living in Japan is different. Like there's like a lot of stuff that like you need to maintain in Japan, so that's the huge difference between like coming as a tourist. You coming as a tourist, you're a guest, right? But like if you're living in Japan, you need to be the one like accepting or like willing to like follow the rules. So like you can see, like if you look around on the internet and see what kind of like stuff you like, what others talk about in Japan's like living experiences, sometimes they feel really miserable because the demand of like what they are asked to do is really demanding, they feel like. But yeah, it's part of the living in Japan, so. We have like really high standards, then you need to follow those standards. So that's what I see. But like some people may not see like that. So. I think there was a good quote from a person who is living in Japan for like a long time. He said that if you're looking for a perk to get from Japan, don't come. But if you are willing to come to Japan and then give out something that you have, then like come to Japan. So I think that was a good quote. Quote or like what he meant. Yeah, it's pretty much different compared to like everybody's welcome or something like that. Sometimes it's not welcoming, but like if you are able to maintain what is required to do, then it's not that hard to live. I like Japan because used for $1 shop, I can buy piece for make garage kits. This is side welcome next stream. アメリカ語、英語ですね。自分はイギリス英語喋ってるつもりなので英語です。Cherry blossoms, beautiful spring. Yeah, I really like cherry blossoms in Japan. And when I go out to see them, like it's already ended. So usually, like, I have a park near me that has a huge like cherry blossom everywhere, and if I go outside to see them, like, usually it's after the typhoon or it's after a huge rain, and then it's a disaster. I think I need to make it a bit more cloudy. Fluffy, I guess, is the term. SK resin? I use like Form 2, so I prefer using those. I wanted to buy Form 3, but the expenses I'm required to pay is not allowing me to buy the Form 3. And like, for example, I was planning to buy Form 3 in the beginning of this year, but because of the virus, I wasn't able to like join some like figurine events to justify these expenses. So I had higher priorities than that. And like the other day, I was considering to buy a CNC machine, but a smaller one. And I looked up the price, and it was like, what was it? If I want to make something specific, I had to go to the $3,000 range to get a decent one. And if I'm like compromising, or like if I'm looking for some like more like practice kind of like projects, it was more like $200. But like I thought to myself, I should keep this money and then buy a good one later on. So yeah, I have tested water washable resins in the past, but sometimes it cracks, so that's my concern. I've heard reports of people having a sudden like burst of like they hear the resin cracking after they print it out, and then they see a shattered model, and I don't want to have that, so that's my concern. And I didn't really have that on my like Form 2 ever, so. How much better is a tablet with a screen versus tablet where you look at PC monitors? Depends on your work style, but the biggest change I feel is that you don't really need to do any more strokes than you need. So when I was using a pen tablet, the normal flat one, it was like I had to do like several strokes to get the strokes I wanted, but after I switched to the screen, like I don't really feel the need to go back and forth that much. So that's a huge difference, I feel. And like you feel that you're directly drawing on the surface that you're looking at. So I think that's the biggest reason why you don't need to like redraw like 100 times or like 50 times. But you need to buy a big screen one. So if you're gonna buy a good monitor, if you're gonna buy a monitor, get a good one. So if not, then you don't need to buy it. So if you're like if you don't have the like budget for buying a good one, then it's better off like just using the smaller or the normal pen tablets. Yeah, I'm using a Cintiq 24 HD Pro, I guess. I think it was Pro, yeah. And it's really nice. I did try other like companies' pen tablets, but it's not the same. Like it's hard to explain what the difference is, but like the pen stroke difference is huge for me. They say it's the same level of like sensitivity, but it's not really that. Like, you don't really feel the same level of like detection. So if you start, like for example, if you start the line from really weak to like strong and then weak, you can have this in like Wacom pen tablets, right? But if it's other pen tablets, it doesn't have the lightness that it's detecting. Like, I'm really drawing a light line here, but it shows the line. But on other pen tablets, it has a like rigid line, like more stronger line than you wanted to draw. So I did adjust the sensitivities, but it's not really the same level. So if they claim it to the same level, I don't believe it. Yeah, in Japan there is a couple of like stores. They have the entire like Wacom setup and the entire like XP pen and like Huion stuff there, but I don't know about other countries. So yeah, I kind of miss the days when I was living in London. So the like travel to like Europe was cheaper compared to like flying from Japan. That's the part that I miss currently. Like when I was like living in London, you can fly to Paris very cheaply, and then you can move to like Germany or stuff like that. And you can like fly around like 3 different countries in like several days, like 5 days straight. But like if you're flying from Japan, then it's gonna take you, I think it was 13 hours to get to the Heathrow Airport. So I think it was 13 hours at that time. So yeah, it's gonna be expensive. And I think the travel cost was like higher than the time when I was living there. So I think the fuel charges is really high now, and it's ridiculous. Like, Daisuke, you have to finish it before Christmas. Yes, I know. I'm trying, you know. Well, this is my last stream, so if I don't finish it, then yeah, it's there. It's done. It's done. And from 10 a.m. in Japan time, so from like 2 hours after this, will be Sakaki. Sakaki Kaoru will be doing this stream sculpting, so I need to move on anyways, if that's the case. But yeah, it's mostly finished because I'm working on the fluffy part of the mesh, just using standard brush to get the curves, so the fluffiness. Will you go streaming next year? Yeah, it's next year. I don't have the specific date yet, but I'll think. You can check out the calendars if it's live. So if you go to ZBrushLive.com, you can see the calendars, and it's not updated right now, but it'll be updated later on. So if you check out the calendars, and then you can take a look. But for January, I think nothing is set right now. I'm currently taking I'm scheduled to take a vacation from the 21st, so up to the January 1st. No, the January the 4th is the exact time I'm getting back. So it's after those weeks, and the first week will be usually really busy because there's like a lot of things that I need to handle. But I think it's the third week of January would be, I think, Japanese, then the fourth week will be English. So I think fourth week. And I need to think about what kind of like stuff I'm going to make as well. So I'm thinking about cyberpunk stuff or mech characters, but I think I should keep the mech characters for the Japanese stream, and then I think I'll do the cyborg or cyberpunk kind of like taste in the English stream. And that's my thinking currently, but it may change anytime. Have you seen the new Nier Automata figurines from Primark Studios? Haven't seen those. I've seen the Devil May Cry ones. I think they showed it on the Wonder Festival in February, and I saw it on the live presentation they did. It was really like nice. I wanted to get those, but I don't really have the money to get those. So. Oh yes, this one. Yeah, I saw this one. Yeah, it's really nice. Like, it's really high quality. And Prime One Studios are using ZBrush as well, so take a look at those if you have interest. Square Enix. She looks like Yuno from Mirai Nikki. Yeah, so there was a couple of like people suggesting she might be a yandere, but nah. she's just like a happy, cheerful character, I guess. Not something like a stalker or yandere kind of like character. If she is, like, I'm scared. I'm a bit too poor to even look at this. Yeah, but it's a high quality stuff, so you can just look at the pictures and take it as a reference. So this is your last session in 2020? Yes, so this is my last session. So I only have like 30 minutes left. Please teach your favorite render customize. Depends on what kind of like render you're talking about. If it's ZBrush, then I just set the shadow to like 0.4 and then set the angles to like 35 and set the raise to 24. Then like upscale the documents. For example, I just do the double and then zoom out a bit. Like this, and then just click on BPR.
Have you used Arnold 6 for rendering? They say it's the best for rendering. I've used V-Ray personally, but I haven't used Arnold because I used Keyshot or V-Ray. And mainly I used Keyshot recently, and I used most of my personal work just using Keyshot. So if I need to do animations, or like if I need to do some like more complex stuff, then I switch to V-Ray, but most of the stuff I just use Keyshot.
Yep, so I just need to like adjust the materials, and then like for example I just have a couple of like customized materials. So I think it was skin 4. And then just render it like this. Yep. So that's my preferred way to like just do BPRs. I need to set the document size back because this is way too big for sculpting. Thanks. Oh, by the way, I was like watching Da Vinci Code and Angel and Demons the other day, and like that was like talking about a lot of like religious stuff, and they talk about symmetrical aspect and a lot of like symbolic stuff, and like this Sansa model I have is like asymmetric. So like usually symmetric is like that shows the what was the term, like sacredness of the like picture or sculpture or something like that. So if you're making something religious, it's usually symmetric, but this is really asymmetric and like maybe sacrilegious. I don't know, but I think I thought it was look I thought it would look nice. Yeah, I like Da Vinci Code and the demon angel and demons, but like for some reason that Rotten Tomatoes score is like really low, like for Da Vinci Code. I don't know why they don't like it, but Da Vinci Code's like Rotten Tomatoes score is like crazy low, like 26%. What the? I was like, what the actual fuck? I really enjoyed that movie. Like 26%, really? And the audience score was like 57%. Like really? Huh. I think they are comparing it to the actual novel itself, and then like talking about the differences and stuff like that. I don't know. Like for example, like I'm playing Cyberpunk, and I don't really have any. Like there is a couple of issues I saw. Like for example, there was a person walking on the street, but like it's levitating, and there was a pizza next to me, like which was like off the table. It was levitating. I have those kind of like stuff, but I don't get why people are really upset about the condition of the software or the game itself. Like, it doesn't like ruin my experience that much. I see a couple of like bugs or like the issues they have that could like break the immersions, and I could imagine that could be the case, but sometimes the like ratings are really harsh than it needs to be, and like I currently don't really rely on people's like reactions or like the opinions of people, I guess. Now if I see like Da Vinci Code, that's the example of like what I see the like popular vote of like stuff is not really my kind of taste. What platform did you play on? I'm playing on Steam, so the PC version. I understand there might be some like differences per console, and then I think it was Angry Joe's like opinion was like he was playing on the PC, but he didn't really have the good experiences, and he was like rating it low on the games. But yeah, I can understand if that's the case, but I don't know. I kind of like a couple of like movies, and people say it's shit, so I don't believe people. The most luck comes from the last gen. Seems like they're yeah, I understand. But yeah, the game itself was like really nice. Like it's like playing the Fallout series, but in cyberpunk situation. So if you're into the genre, then it's really nice. Yeah, I think it depends on the spec as well. So. Oh, talking about Da Vinci Code, I saw the Angel and Demons rating as well. It was like pretty much close. Rotten Tomatoes. Oh. Yeah, 37%. 37% and 57% for the score. So I don't know. I really like Angels and Demons. Like it was nice. And I'm currently watching Inferno, the last series on the movies. I think I didn't really watch Inferno real time, and like currently I'm watching the beginning of it, and it does feel like it's pretty much different tone compared to the other two. So I don't know about that one, but yeah, when I see people like talking about, oh, everybody didn't like it, like I usually ask to myself, like, who is everybody? Like, who is it for? It's sometimes confusing, like, because like you know everybody doesn't really know you, or you don't have the same taste as everyone. Then it might be for you, but it might be not for you. So like sometimes you need to separate yourself from the public perspective, or like public opinions. It's the same for like a couple of animes I watched, and the like I really like the animes, but like some people don't really like that anime and they rate it really low, and like I was like, what is that? Like, what is that score? Like, it's crazy. What usually happens is if something is different, quite a few people don't like it, which makes more people copy the same opinion without really watching the content directly. Yeah, I think that's the case. Like, there's like really a vocal opinion from like from someone, and then they just follow that opinion. Like, sometimes it doesn't really like. I don't really get why that's happening, because you should have your opinions at least. Especially when it comes to art and movies, then you shouldn't be controlled by other people. Like, for example, I really like The Time of Eve, which is the anime talking about a sci-fi kind of like situation. If you're not really familiar with Time of Eve, I recommend you watch it. So the series itself is like subtle, and it's really it's not directly talking about what kind of stuff they do, but you can feel that what like you kind of see what's happening in the background, or what kind of stuff is like being happening, and then you can guess if you watch it like 4 times. And I really like that like kind of guess, or like you need to think about the story and then you can understand it finally, and that whole process is really interesting. But some people don't like this kind of stuff and like rate it really low. And it's the same with the other series they did. I think it was White Cocoon. I think it was Cocoon or White Cocoon. Yeah, I understand you.
Like Steins Gate? Yeah, Steins Gate is like pretty much direct in the animes, but if you play the game from the original ones, then it was like you need to like you can feel the struggle of like the protagonist or the main character. So that part is not really translatable in anime, but like the anime series of like Steins Gate is nice on itself. Like if you compare to the game, yeah, but if you compared to other animes, it's really nice. And you have a lot of like time loop series in that period, and I think that really shines when you compare to other time loop series. Yeah, Pale Cocoon was the name. So if you search Pale Cocoon, and then if you get this Wikipedia page, it's really interesting. So I really like his like anime kind of like style, but some people don't really find it interesting. So I don't know. It's either my senses are off or other people's senses are like crazy. So I don't know. If you have any like recommendation of anime I should watch, then send it over. Hey, how's it going? How is? Hey, I'm doing fine. It's my last stream for the year this year, so I'm trying to finish this model, but it's pretty much done. So I'm kind of like relaxing, like talking about animes. Yeah. Why is it micro polishing? I think I did a screenshot for some reason. How long have you been doing this for? Less than 24 hours. So you can watch my stream, but I think I did like this is my 5th stream making Santa, and I think the average time I did per stream was like 3 hours or 2 hours plus a couple of hours. And then, so, yeah, the total would be less than 24 hours. Will you print it? It's very good in kawaii figure. I don't know. Like, if I'm gonna print it, then I think I need to like adjust this part to be a bit more flat so it can sit on itself. Currently, there's no like support structure for her to like be standing on her own, so that's my concern if I do the print. Oh, how long have you been doing this for? Meaning like the full entire career of like my sculpting career? I think it's 7 or 8 years. I think it's 7. Yeah, 7 years. they remade Higurashi Kai if you want to watch that.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm a fan of Higurashi, but I haven't watched the new one, so I didn't have the time to actually watch it. So I'll make time to watch it. I hear good stuff about those new stuff. I even played the original game, so
the time when the characters only had 4 hands compared to the 5 hands they now have.
No, for 4-finger hands and 5-finger hands, yeah.
How would someone get to know a Japanese girl? I don't know. I'm just a nerdy white guy in America, but it seems like people of different races just stick with their own kind. So it's just, like, I've heard a lot of stories where a Japanese girl are easily picked on by a white male from America, and like there's a lot of stories around it, but like, I don't know. Sometimes it's a douchey move to actually pick on a girl like that, so become a Viking. Yes, like
get a ship and like sail. If you can talk Japanese, or like if you go to a bar, then like if there's people like looking for those kind of like relationships, then I don't think it's really that hard. But you're asking to a single person, a single guy, so I'm single too. So what do I know? So that's a stupid question.
Are you gonna make a background for this? No, no. You make models for VR chat by chance? I don't think it's that hard to make a VR chat, but I'm not really into VR chat, so I'm way too shy to talk to a girl. I hope to learn.
Yeah, I'm too shy too. So. Well, we should talk about sculptures then. Picking on girls then. Lol. Adjust colors. No. Mask, colors. No, not this material. This one. Yep. The mask. Reverse. Negative inflate. I just need just a bit. Minus 2, I guess. Should be fine. We make this program in school. Nice. Yeah, ZBrush is like widely used in the industry. So if the school is talking about like digital sculpting, then yeah, it would be like the basic go-to to talk about ZBrush. We do need to retopple this and reduce poly count for 3D printing, or is it keeping high poly enough? So for printing, my mesh is like 17 million, so that's too high for the printer to handle directly. So what I do is I'll need to like reduce the poly count by using decimations. So you go to the Z plugin, and then you hit the decimation master, and then you set the amount of like what amount of like poly counts you need. Sorry. And then you get the result instantly. For example, if I have this bag, and you don't really need, for printing, you don't really need 126,000 poly counts. So you hit something like, I think 35k should be fine. And then if you see the difference, and if it's not like, if you can't really see the polygons like being like really square and really visible, it's fine. Like you're able to print a smooth model. But like if you go too far, for example, if you go like 0.5k or like 1k, I guess, it gets like like you can see the polygons, right? Then this might be too far if you print it on the model, so you need to adjust a bit. So you can see from the result, I think I need at least like 5k. Yeah, this should be fine. Like it's like smooth enough that you don't really get to see the model on the sharpness when you print it. So 5k or 10k should be fine for this model. So you need to adjust those. Will Sakaki Sensei go streaming today? I see from calendar it says yesterday, but it didn't see from him yesterday. It will be today. So he'll be streaming an hour and a half later, and I'll be doing the translation for him if you need to like ask him questions. Yeah, it's set on Friday for some reason. Oh no, this is PDT time. So in the US, Los Angeles, it's Friday today, but in Japan it's already Saturday. So the difference is that. So. $17 million? No, 17 million is not really high in ZBrush terms. Like you have people like sculpting in like 70 million. It's not 17 million, 70 million. So it's not really rare that the amount of like poly counts I have. You just need to have enough memory and a good CPU to handle that. I'm married, so I don't think in my advice is be interested in something she likes, even if you could care. Also be yourself goal. Also like funny guys. Also big dunk helps too. We'll get these figurine printed someday. Will be cool to have. I don't know. I'll think about it. Yeah, my potato would comment. Okay, so this is the end of the stream, and like let's render this model cleanly so we can see the actual result we're getting. 20, I guess. 20 is fine. Blur 1, ray. draw size, document, double. And then let's hit render. Oops, sorry. 0.5 render.
What's your CPU and how much RAM do you have? I think my PC is pretty much old, so I have i7, the 3rd gen. I think it was 3700K, and I'm using 32 gigabytes of RAM.
I may need to adjust the setting for the lights. Light setting. 0.1.8, 0.2. I usually recommend like turning the color a bit slightly. So you can have different kind of coloring happening on your materials. And because this is more Christmas-like, so I'm just trying to adjust it to be not to be too cold and using warm colors. Let's see the results.
Yeah, have a great holiday, you guys. So have a great holiday and have a nice year. Have the rest of the year. Oh boy, 2020 was a really crappy year, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but it was not good for me.
So yeah, if you set the ray to 24 and if you set the angles a bit, you can have this kind of smooth shading happening. And if you adjust the strength of the shadows, if you set it to the default setting, you're gonna get a really deep shadow here. But for this character, you don't really need a deep shadow. Yeah, it looks a bit more different if you put it like this. Well, now that I think about it, this could look like a plastic figurine. But yeah, I want this render to be a bit more lower in the shadow. 0.5 should be fine.
Have you ever sculpted anime figurine into realistic? I don't really prefer realistic anime stuff, so
answer is yes, but not really effectively, no. And I don't think I need AOs for this one. Flatten shadows. Maybe I should have flat shadows. Flat shadows, renders, shadow. Let me test flat shadows. Oh yeah, I could test the renders with, well, let me save the normal one first. Just send the documents, export, and save it to the folder. Santa PNG, Santa 5. And then let's try another material. I think I made one for NPR materials. NPR. Yep. Oh, this looks nice. Then I just need to hit the flat shadow. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for the materials, I think I uploaded on ZBrush Central in the past, so just check my post, and it should be there. Pixologic Daisuke. Oh yeah, it's giving a nice result. Then let's just save this. Santa 5 NPR. Activity. I've posted so much stuff in the past, so I just need to find where my stuff is. I think I posted on the Sisters fan art stuff. Let me check. Oh yeah, there it is. So if you look up this thread, I'll explain how to make this model. And then if you go down here, then you have a link to the Dropbox. And if you click that, it will send you to, it will try to download a file containing these. And then if you click on Tomb Mat and then like use either one of those, it's gonna get you the result of the one I've showed you. So this is the Tomb Mat, and then you just need to adjust the lighting setting or the coloring setting on the lights, and then you're good to go. Is 32 of RAM good enough for ZBrush, or would you recommend going to 64? Depends on what you do. So if you have a really high dense mesh, then 64 could be the option, but I think 32 would be enough for your like average use. Like I'm using 32 and I don't really have the need, or I don't really have the demand unless I have like a lot of like Google Chrome opening up on the background to check my like references and stuff. But no, I don't think I need those. So yeah, I do have a friend which is using like 128 gigabytes, and I asked him, does that reach to the top often? And he mentioned no, that's just safety. So depends on like what kind of stuff you want to do, or like what you do in the background. So depends, but usually you don't really need it. Yep. So
have a good year, guys. Have a good rest of the year and have a good holidays. Bye.